Divine greetings. Welcome to another Red Pills for the Matrix monologue. Before starting this video, let me just say that I am not claiming to be a Mason, nor am I affiliated or connected or is an ambassador for any Masons or any lodge of any sort, at least not knowingly. I did this video merely as a kind of probe or as a kind of, nudge or shove to the average mind to go a bit further before, assuming and being led by the assumptions of others. So what I'm trying to do here is to demystify this being addressed as the devil or Satan or Lucifer, as well as also to explore what could be the meaning or what could be the relevance of what is known to be Freemasonry. Now, any research will tell you that Freemasonry is a group of men or and women, of course, because there are groups that permit women, of course, and they are said to be benevolent, and words like charitable, yes, and words that are for the good of humanity. I think their thing is about brotherly love, and I can't remember these things, brotherly love and truth, yes, and I can't remember the other one. I think it's three things that their thing is based on. So I'm saying, in theory, considering what these individuals represent, it seems very admirable and positive when researched. Now, for the average mind who encounters anything that suggests Masonry would automatically say, hey, devil worshipping. Now, based on research, it is shown that these organizations, encourage freedom, religious, spiritual freedom. So though there may be those who attend the Church of Satan, there are also those among them who may be Christians. Some may be Rastafarians, others may be Muslims. Your agreement or disagreement or your support or opposition of these views or the views of others belonging to these organizations doesn't really change the truth. So then, if there is no given religion that dominates this organization and spiritual and religious freedom is encouraged, then could it be that things that are seen in the representation, such as the checkers board, such as the as above so below symbology, things such as the one eye symbolism, could these things just represent the organization, like emblems of the organization, and not indicative of whether or not the organization serves Lucifer? Now, since I mentioned this being Lucifer, let's look a bit at this being Lucifer, because there are some who believe that this being is the chief spirit of evil and the supernatural force that governs evil. And I encourage these individuals to think, how could a mere angel thwart the plan of God, when any good definition of God has to tell you that He is all-knowing, all-powerful, all-wise, everywhere at once. And since Genesis told you that in the beginning he created the heaven and the earth, then he also exists outside of time and space, since at the beginning of time he created space, the heaven and the earth. So how could a mere angel like Lucifer, who cannot even read minds or see the future, and there are scriptures to back this up, how could a mere angel like Lucifer thwart God's plan in the Garden of Eden? How could he? How could he have done something that God would be unaware that he would do? Additionally, when God created this Garden of Eden and he placed Adam in this Garden of Eden, did he not say to Adam that, eat of all the fruits, but of the fruit of good and evil, do not eat of this tree, because the day, loosely translated, the day in which you eat this fruit, you shall surely die. He did not say, if you eat the fruit, you shall surely die. He said, the day you eat the fruit, you shall surely die. He implicitly told Adam that you will eat the fruit, and within that same day you will die. Now a small mind, a closed mind will open their mouth and say, but Adam did not die the same day. What is the date? What is a day's measurement? What is a God metric day? A God metric day is 1,000 years. 1,000 human years. Did Adam live to see 1,000 years? Of course not. No one has seen 1,000 years according to the Bible. The longest living man was Methuselah, I think the father of Enoch or son of Enoch. And I think he saw 969 years. So Adam did eat the fruit and he did die within a God metric day, which was 1,000 human year. So that was God saying, hey, you're going to yam the fruit and you're going dead. And he did eat it and he did die. So how could an angel so low, so limited like Lucifer outsmart God? Some are saying, hey, Lucifer freed us from the tyrannical rule of God. How? When Lucifer is still subjected to God's will. Lucifer is not God's enemy. Lucifer is God's best friend. Yes. Because Lucifer was the angel so brilliant, he chose to play the hardest role. Of course, how could you look at a being as limitless as God and choose to play the role of his so-called rivalry? Unless you are so bright and so brilliant that you think you could do it. So let's demystify this being, Lucifer. Why are we so afraid of that thought, or afraid of this being, and we think of this being in such negative light, and we are so threatened when we hear this, and you dare not mention his name, and whatever bad that happens, he's the one who does it. A person will say, oh, thank you God for the rain. Thank you so God for the breeze. But whenever Hurricane Gilbert come around, which is rain and breeze, and the devil work. But you thank God for rain and breeze in the right moderation, but when it's a little bit excessive and it comes in the form of a storm, then it's Lucifer. I can't understand. I can't understand. Could it be that Lucifer is merely an expression, a polar opposite of what God represents? Could it be that they work interdependently? Remember that Lucifer approached God according to Job and said to God that, this fellow Job, I think he's only loyal to you and committed to you because you put a protective edge around him and bless him. And God said, no, I disagree. And Lucifer proceeded to say, well, alright, remove no, Lucifer said, let me take him blessing, Jaja. Let me take away him blessing. And wait, I'm going to show you. I'm going to show you that he's only loyal. His love is conditional. And God said, alright, take him blessing. Lucifer took his blessing, of course, and Job was still loyal to God. Lucifer go back to God again and said, Jaja, you know, say, remove the protective edge. I want to touch him physically. God said, alright, I'm going to remove the protective edge. Touch him, but don't kill him. Yes. God removed the protective edge and Job was succumbed to leprosy. I think they call it the disease. So scornful, so shameless, so shameful, to the point that his wife looked up on him and said, man, just cuss God and dead. You know, say God done with you. Yes. And Job said, no. Even if God doesn't deliver, I still believe. And his blessing and his protective edge was restored. Now my point is, how could my arch enemy, my rival, persuade me to allow him to hurt my loyal servant to prove whether or not he loves me unconditionally? Or is he my enemy? Or are we working together? Is life a chess game between darkness and light? Darkness and light, are they opposing forces? They could not be. Please define light without saying darkness. Define darkness without saying light. Can you? How can I, Mr. Light, accept you, Mr. Darkness? When my purpose, my reason for being created is to destroy you. Conversely, how can I, Mr. Darkness, accept you, Mr. Light, when your very existence, the nature of your existence, is a threat to my existence? The nature of your existence is sure destruction for my existence. Or is it that we are interdependent? Because light is the absence of darkness and darkness is the absence of light. You can't even imagine one without the other. How can you create light without darkness? Or how can you create darkness when there was no light? They both are interdependent. So the light gives way gracefully to the darkness at dusk, and the darkness returns the favor majestically to the light at dawn. Quite like Lucifer and God, they are not enemies. They can't be. How could they be? So when we attempt to demystify Lucifer, because the thing is, I am just twisted like that. Yeah, whenever I watch movies like Dark Knight with Batman and the Joker, I tend to root for the Joker. yeah, whenever I watch the Endgame, I tend to root for Thanos. I mean, it's good to be the good guy, yeah, and nothing is wrong with being the good guy, but I'm saying we have to be able to really have the strength of a Kizu to look upon the harder truths to accept. This being Lucifer, are you aware that there is a star in astronomy that is called Lucifer? And this star is seen in the eastern sky right before sunrise. Look it up. So this star is there right before the darkness is out, and then the sun rises, which is the light of this world that dances with the Mother Earth to produce life. Some people would rather to have light without darkness. Is it possible? Would you prefer life with pleasure and no pain? Everyone would, but who would grow? Demystifying Lucifer. these people who are said to be Freemasons, did you know, I was told, I cannot verify or, reject the claims, but I was told that Marcus Garvey was a 33rd degree Mason. I was also told that when Marcus Garvey was in St. Anne preaching his truth and developing into who he was destined to be, the people would stone him and say he's mad. Yes, right. So are you one of those who would fling a stone at Garvey? Or are you one of those who would accept Garvey if you knew he was a 33rd degree Mason? Saying this to say, we must demystify these ideas that we are so threatened by emotionally because of conditioning. I remember when I was going to high school and this video came out about the wicked music industry, talking about Rihanna and Jay-Z and Eminem and all of these people serving the devil. Yes, some people even say them stop listening to music. Can you imagine a life without music? And when many of these people got this video that somebody got off YouTube and burned to a DVD disc and frighten all of them, these times me and Cash P, Gavin Valentine, CEO of the Clairvoyant store, them time me and Cash P and them Ergas and them man, they aware of the Illuminati long time before them go watch DVD with it and frighten. Because we are listening to Ashra Kwesi, we are decrypt the hieroglyphics in the pyramids of Egypt. Long time. Yes. Skull can attest. JR can attest. All of my warrior them a St. Thomas can attest. So we have to demystify these ideas. They are merely ideas. A lot of the stories in the Bible are mere allegories. They didn't actually happen. They are just truth lies that bring out a higher truth. Of course, Jonah could not hold in the whale belly. He couldn't survive the whale belly. How could he? How could he? Maybe Moses did not actually walk across the Red Sea or part the Red Sea. Maybe the Red Sea represented death and destruction and ignorance, and he merely used enlightenment to allow the Israelites to avert this destruction. Demystify these ideas. Obia, voodoo, all of these ideas that we're afraid of, look into them and demystify them. They are just ideas. Merely ideas, merely thoughts. So, you would like me to believe that Lucifer freed us from the will of God, and we only have knowledge because of that apple, so-called apple, because the Bible did not say what type of fruit it was, but they chose apple. So you are saying we only have this knowledge because Eve ate that apple, which was not a part of God's plan. So ridiculous it could make a madman laugh. Ridiculous, is it not? Of course it is, to the point where Steve Jobs made the logo for his company a bitten apple to say it is the biting of this apple by Eve that gave us knowledge. Garbage. Complete garbage. Total garbage. It was God's will. How could it not be? You are telling me an angel, mere angel, in a my place, my kingdom, left good down there, down on earth, go turn in a snake, zine and trick. My two little creation called man. Trick them, make them eat, they make them broke my one law. An angel in my camp, you know. Turning a snake, serpent and trick my creation. And me where they everywhere, all the time. I know everything. And is all wise, all powerful. And me can't exist outside the time and space and me never know. You are mad. God over everything. Demystify these ideas. All beings are slaves to God's will, whether they know it or not. This has been Red Pills for the Matrix. Thank you for stopping by. You are presumptuous to think that the devil could outsmart God.